Good evening. I am your host James Barbarossa and I welcome you to the conversation. A company's success is strongly integrated with its capabilities regarding logistical planning. This discussion will further explore an analysis of the Australian tyre industry and the significant importance of logistics, additionally providing an insight into Australia's growing tyre supply chain, exploring the many knowledge and information services and systems that ensure supply chain success. Lastly, discussing the many challenges that the tyre industry faces regarding the supply chain. Any modern Australian tyre supply chain is divided into three key sections, classified as the upstream, the midstream and the downstream. The upstream of the Australian tyre supply chain consists of rubber tree farmers. Countries including Thailand, Indonesia and Malaysia account for 72% of natural rubber production in 2017. The raw material is purchased by buyers and sold to processing plants to create treated rubber. The good is then moved to the midstream segment within the Australian tyre supply chain. Australian tyre manufacturing companies such as Bridgestone and Goodyear buy the treated rubber and manufacture the material into semi-finished and finished goods, however mainly into tyre products. The tyres created are then taken to retail stores and wholesalers to be sold to customers, representing the downstream section within the Australian supply chain. A customer's tyre waste product is then disposed, downcycled into gravel substitute, or most commonly sent to landfills and burnt, known as the reverse supply chain. However, this negatively affects the environment, releasing deadly carcinogens when burned. Modern tyre companies acknowledge their environmental impact, developing their corporate social responsibility. Examples include retreading old tyres. In 2013, a European tyre company said that its new Conti life cycle plant in Hanover Stockton used around 50% less energy and around 80% less water compared to the production of new tyres. Figure 1 illustrates a simplified supply chain, including the upstream, the midstream and the downstream. Regarding the Australian tyre supply chain, the raw material represents the upstream, which is then transferred to manufacturers to the midstream and then sent to distributors and retailers in the downstream. An efficient and effective supply chain requires uninterrupted communications across all sections of the supply chain, transmitted through information management systems that gather, analyse and report data to assist in management decision-making. Miscalculations such as the bullwhip effect can be minimised through effective communication between supply chain sections. For example, a tyre manufacturer can accurately calculate the amount of raw material required for future demands of tyres due to supply chain information management. This is calculated using online databases and inventory management softwares. All information collected is communicated across all tyre supply chain sections, ensuring effectiveness allocation of resources. It is essential that all data is collected and conglomerated together to create an all-accessible data bank, also known as a transaction processing system. Despite the effective uses of online technologies in maximising supply chain management, the connected organisational model is threatened by information theft. The growth of online presence continues to pressure on the safety of supply chain management within the Australian tyre industry. A hacker group known as Barium exploited a Chinese software distribution channel, gaining access to hundreds of millions of people's data, gaining unlawful information to make legitimate profits. Figure 2 illustrates the transaction processing system. Data is entered into the system by members of the supply chain, collected into database processing, and finally generated into documents and reports. These documents create integration between all sections of the supply chain, removing the risk of lagging consequences such as the bullwhip effect. The Australian tyre industry can be applied to Figure 3. The use of online inventory management systems allows for analysis of future demands, therefore allowing for manufacturers to effectively produce finished goods to be distributed to retailers and warehouses without shortages or excesses. An efficient and effective inventory management system removes risk, therefore creating a successful supply chain. All tyre companies must ensure ethical and environmental standards within the supply chain regarding rubber farming, manufacturing and reuse. As societies become more environmentally and ethically aware, therefore, tyre companies must adapt to changing societal preferences to ensure profits. The Australian tyre retailing industry is projected to grow modestly over the next 5 years due to the increased number of registered motor vehicles. The Australian tyre industry revenue is expected to rise to $5.6 billion in 2020. Developments across global markets have led to a drastic increase in global competition due to emerging markets within lower developed economies. Furthermore, growing rubber material suppliers and sellers has subsequently created lower prices, therefore incentivizing rubber manufacturers to expand tyre production. Figure 4 highlights a stable decrease in raw material prices from 2011 at $130 to 2019 at $80, further supporting that lower raw materials prices incentivize manufacturers to purchase more and expand tyre production operations. The growth in global competition, demand, and online technology dependency has increased input resources used in production and led to a drastic change towards online information and retail systems. Furthermore, tyre companies have changed their supply chain information systems, business models, and online retail systems. The tyre supply chain faces several challenges within the extensive upstream, downstream, and reverse supply chain systems. Regarding the reverse supply chain, companies must act ethically and environmentally friendly through reinvesting their products, for example, retreading. Regarding the upstream section of the tyre supply chain, companies must buy from ethical rubber farmers to be used to further manufacture tyres. Thank you for listening in. I hope this information has been beneficial to all of you. Your host, James Barbarossa.